I hope that you share some of your most memorable teachers with your neighbor. Let's talk a little bit about what are the kind of things that you find in the memorable teachers. What are their characteristics? Passion? Okay. Anything else?
Like uniqueness.
Uniqueness? Okay. How unique was your memorable teacher?
He was my teacher at Essex in high school.
Mm-hmm.
He used to be a businessman.
I see. Oh. Okay. So he was quite different from the
Yes,
other.
from other teachers. Yeah.
That's good. Okay. What else?
Funny.
In what way was he funny?
Well, he's a teacher at school in Kyoto, well, my college actually, and I was an English major, and so he tried to make everyone laugh.
I see.
Once a class.
Okay. At least once a class. Okay. That's good. Okay. What else?
Showed outside the school. Sorry.
Pardon?
Showed the outside of the school.
Okay.
Showed sight of the outside of the school.
So
Show the
outside.
view and
Oh, I
see
see. I see. So rather than just stick inside in the classroom, he or she brought you outside.
No, we never couldn't get out of the school, but
Right.
she told many things about her trip or her
Oh, I see. I see.
yes.
Okay. Okay. It doesn't have to be physically out.
Yeah.
But it's just okay. Good. Okay. Go ahead.
My memorable teacher is very strict, but our teacher is very kind,
Okay.
very positive.
Yeah.
My teacher is a music teacher, so I play music. He always say, "What are you doing? What do you want to do?"
Mm.
So if I can do the that expression,
Yes.
he every time I'm free. What do you do? What want to do?
Mm.
So I studied that attitude from him.
I see. I see. So you always are encouraged to think
Yes.
what you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. You mentioned passion. Passion for what?
Passion for developing people.
Okay. Okay. Who else?
I think our keyword is equality.
Equality? Okay. Tell us a little bit more about that.
What I find very impressive about a professor is that he treats us, the students, equal as him.
Oh, I see. I see.
So
Okay.
not like
So he's not talking down to you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I thought you were talking about like fair treatment of all the students, but it's much more like you are the same.
Professors and the students.
I see. I see. Good. Good. Anything else? Go ahead.
Two of my most memorable teachers, both very good at encouraging students to learn themselves and inspire their curiosity.
I see. I see. Good. If you can get the students or younger people curious, I mean that's what it is. Okay. Anything else? Go ahead.
My teacher in elementary school always said, think big.
Okay, I see. That's quite impressive, isn't it? Okay, great. Okay, thanks. I think we can go on and on and on, but let me just make sure that we have Yusuke talk about his organization and his issues, because that's very much related to what you have discussed. So it's a great pleasure for me to introduce and to invite Yusuke Matsuda, who started Teach for Japan. And I think I've known him for about a few years.
4.
4 years. And so I have always sort of been supportive because I think it's education is such an important thing. The only thing is that he thought this whole session is going to be in Japanese. And I thought I mentioned, but I suppose I didn't. And another catch is that I am supposed to teach the executive ed in December, early December, and I assumed it was in English. And I was so late preparing the materials. So they were like, are you going to give us your materials? So I really rushed this morning and I said, I'll get it to you today. And I assumed it was in English, so I updated all my materials and sent it. Turned out to be it's in Japanese. So I have to work over the weekend, probably, to find out. So there's a little bit of communication between English and Japanese, but that's enough. So let's hear Yusuke.
Thank you, Ishikura-san. Good evening, everybody. I'm really grateful to be here today, but at the same time, I'm really nervous because this is my first time doing this presentation in English, and I will, so there's three things that I would like to apologize beforehand. But the first thing is I might be sweating a lot, and it might be unsightly, but please forgive me. The second point is the grammar, the vocabs won't be perfect. I had a privilege to study abroad, and after that, for about 10 years, I continue to improve my English every day, but it's not perfect, so please forgive that. The third part is I see some foreigners in the room, and because this slides, it's going to be in Japanese, it might be hard to understand, but I will try to do my best to explain it. Just enjoy the atmosphere of the slides. I'll have like 10 to 15 minutes talking about Teach for Japan. First starting from my self-introduction. The first part will be, in the blackboard, it says Kyoiku wa hitonari, which means, I don't know what it means, education is done by people. The human factor is the most important part when you think about education. There's tons of social issues, there's tons of education issues here in Japan. We need to continue to solve it, continue solving it, but we need to utilize all the resources around, which is human capital, money, and also materials like PCs or infrastructure like books or so on. But I think the most important part is the human aspect. Means that how great scholarship program you have, or like what kind of like great like ICT room you have, or like what kind of great like library you have. If you don't have a great human, a teacher in front of that kid, the effectiveness of those materials will be really limited. But at the same time, if you have a great, even if you don't have any material, like this room, you don't have any material, but you have a great inspirational leader in front of you, sharing her experience to you and really having a discussion, there's learning generated within the room. So I just think that the human capital, the human aspect is really important, and Teach for Japan is trying to solve education issues by this aspect. So this is one of my values that I would like to share. The second part is like my bio. And I actually was a teacher. I was a physical education teacher right after graduating Nihon University. After that, I taught for 2 years, and then went to work at the Board of Education. Had a chance to study abroad, work at a consulting firm, and started Teach for Japan in 2010. The reason I became a teacher was because I had a great teacher. When I was in middle school, my academic performance was the lowest in my grade. I had 400 colleagues, I had 400 classmates, not classmates, but I was like the bottom out of 400. So I wasn't really good at studying. I also, because I can't see, I'm colorblind, I can't see colors, I really didn't like arts class. And I had this teacher who, because I can't see colors, I was, there was a tree and we were coloring it, and I was coloring it by red, but I really didn't recognize. But the teacher was like saying, no, it should be by brown, you should color it by brown. I was like, wow, I thought that art is something that we need to cultivate the children's creativity, but he's really not encouraging me to do so, and I really got pissed off, and I started to hate arts class. And I really wasn't good at physical education as well, because I was really small. I couldn't run fast. and I had only 150 centimeters high. I was really small. I was the smallest in my class, and so that makes me not that fast run, or I couldn't jump high, so I couldn't really participate into physical education classes. And the worst part was that I started to get bullied. It was when I was in 8th grade. I got bullied. It was really physically damaging me, but at the same time psychological damaging me, because I really didn't have no one didn't help me. The friends were laughing because it seemed like to be an entertainment. The teachers didn't help me because now bullying is done by places that it's not really seen. It's like behind the scenes. So it's really hard for the teacher to recognize bullying. So it was a really tough time for me. I really actually thought to suicide once or twice. But I was lucky. I was lucky because I had this great teacher, one great teacher, that really cared, had high expectations, built a trust with me, and was with me all the time. And he was, because of him, I really was able to continue to go to school. And we were really thinking together how I could get bigger, to drink a lot of milk and have a lot of calcium and also magnesium. And also, how can I change my lifestyle? So lifestyle to get bigger, meaning, sleep fast and sleep a long time, and that really helps you to for your nutrition and raising your body. I don't know how to say it. But, and because of him, I was able to get bigger, and because of him, I was able to overcome bullying. And at the same time, I was able to enjoy physical education classes from 9th grade, which he was in charge of my physical education class. He didn't have a one-fits-all classroom. He really differentiated to the students' needs. He really observed when the students, laugh, or what kind of comment, what kind of type of communication we should take for each children. And he really differentiated the communication style, but also, not only the communication style, but also the activities that are done in the classroom. So it's not like I go dribble, run, or so on. It's like really, so these kids who are really good at basketball can do mini games. But us who needs to start from the beginners, he's with us really teaching the basics of dribbling or so on. And he was really, there was a lot of appraiser there. And it really empowered me a lot. And that made me really love physical education. And it made me to think that physical education is the most fun class in all subjects. So there's two experiences, overcoming bullying and also me becoming, I hated physical education, but it became the most fun subject for me. These two experiences was life-changing. And I was, when I went into high school, I started to think which university I would want to go in, and definitely physical education. To become a physical education teacher was one of my goals at that moment. And I wanted to give back. I wanted to pay forward to what I received to the next generation. So that's the main reason I became a physical education teacher. It was an awesome job. It was really great. I think it's the best job in the world, and I think it's more fun, more empowering. I had a lot of learnings, and I think it's a great job. I think it's a better job than becoming a CEO of an MPO that currently I am. I really loved it. But I left teaching because I had a colleague who really didn't care. Who really didn't care about the kids, and who was facing the blackboard for 40 minutes out of a 45-minute class. And he was like, students were just writing, and then it happened to be a classroom hazard, gakki hokai, which like students were not studying, like, texting each other, walking around, gaming, or like eating their bento, and sleeping. It was a gakkyuhoka, it was a classroom hazard. And I was shocked when he came back to the teacher's preparation room and was saying that, today it was a bad class. Those kids are not listening. And I really got shocked about that comment because kids are not responsible for the learning. I think the teachers are responsible to creating the learning environment. And the classroom hazard is not because of they're not listening, it's because the teacher is executing the classroom that's not motivating the kids, empowering the kids, not really listening to the students' interest, and that's where the kids get bored and put their energy into something else. So I just wanted to look for a system. How can I create a system that has more committed teachers in the classroom, who continues to improve their pedagogy, their performance, daily basis. But at the same time, I thought it was important to think about a system that can maintain the teacher's motivation. Because I've also found that teachers are motivated in the beginning. There's no teacher in the system that really don't care from the beginning. They love kids. They had a passion in education in the beginning. But the system itself is really demotivating them to once face then face the blackboard. It might be the evaluation system. It might be some priority, the changing of the priorities in the professional and the personal lives. And I think the current education system in Japan is not really motivating the best and the brightest to continue to become the best and the brightest, continue to learn. So I also need to think about what kind of system I could provide to maintain the motivation for the teachers. And then I decided to study abroad to come up to look for a solution, or like have like more open ideas or creative ideas. I think it was important for me to study overseas and also see the Japanese education from outside, to have the outside perspective. And that's where I decided to study at Harvard. It was a great opportunity for me to study there. There's a lot of learnings, but one thing that I would like to focus on is that I had a chance to know about Teach for America. Can you raise your hands if you know about Teach for America? Or, yeah, okay, I'll explain about it. So Teach for America is a nonprofit organization that's operated for 25 years ago. It started in 1989. It's trying to solve education inequality in the United States. So there's a huge gap in income and also academic performance in the United States. How Wendy Kopp, the founder, really thought this is an issue that she wanted to solve because it's not fair. It's not fair that wherever you're born determines your life. It's not fair because we can choose which household we can be born in. So she wanted to solve it. And the way and also there was a huge issue of those schools, the underprivileged communities, those schools. The environment was really harsh. It was really not a learning environment. And also there was no one who wanted to teach in those schools because it's going to be a hard job. The kids are not learning, they're not motivated, they're doing drugs, also they're not, the environment is not safe. So teachers didn't really want to teach in those communities. So this really made the situation worse because there's an issue there, but there's no one who wants to solve it. And it deteriorates, it's worse. So she wanted to have the best and the brightest to come in to teach. So this was her idea, to send the best and the brightest, train them after graduation, and send them into these communities, these schools for 2 years. And currently, Teach for America recruits 6,000 teachers annually, and it's a 2-year program. So at this moment, 10,000 Teach for America teachers are serving these kids. what's most surprisingly, in 2010, this was Teacher America became the #1 recruiter in the United States of America. More like 1 out of 5 Harvard graduates wanted to go into this program. They didn't choose to go into Google, Apple, McKinsey, Goldman Sachs. They choose to teach into teaching. And it's really impressive to have these best and the brightest not go into Wall Street or Silicon Valley, Washington, D.C., but go into Harlem, New Orleans, to teach these, to really devote their 2-year career into solving this issue. What happens when you have a committed, bright leader going to these communities? What happens is problems get solved. Students' learning environment changes. It gets better. Students' academic performance, the level increases. There's improvement in the school environment as well. And 97% of the principals of Teacher America and the schools that Teacher America teachers are deported in think that they want more Teacher America teachers, 97% of them. So it was really, in the short term, really effective and improving to try to solve this vicious cycle and also try to solve the academic achievement gap. And more surprising thing is that how people, like we call this core members, or we call Teacher America teachers as core members. After this 2-year experience, the alumni of this program continue to stay in the education field. This is really surprising because in the beginning, when Teacher America had a survey to teach for American incoming teachers about their after their career, how they view after their 2-year experience, only 6 or 7% thought that they're going to stay in teaching. But after this experience, almost 70% stay in teaching. This is amazing because these people continue to devote their career into improving the education system. And they never thought about teaching before. But this 2-year experience really changed their mindsets. They realize how important education is. They realize how solvable this issue is. So they get excited. So first of all, these people stay teaching. But this is the key part. These people. These people don't stay in teaching. There are some critics about Teacher America, but only 2 years, they're leaving. But I don't think it should be a critique. I think it should be something that we should think about more, because these people decided not to continue teaching after committing 120% of their lives into this mission, right? So they taught for 2 years, they did their best, and they felt that this is something that they really cannot devote their passion. So I think it's worse for having someone who in the classroom continue teaching without having the passion. So these people, within the 2 years, they do have progress in the students' academic performance, but when they think about the career, teaching wasn't the career. But they go to other fields, right? Like as become politicians, actually go into Goldman Sachs or McKinsey, or work in the Silicon Valley. And they become leaders because this 2-year teaching experience is also a leadership program for them. It's not only for the teachers to serve the kids, it's also a learning program for the participants in the program as teachers. Because think about it, when you go into those classroom hazards, students are not motivated at all. They don't want to learn. Their situation is really, they're in a hard situation. But teachers need to set a vision in the classroom. They need to build trust with each student. Communication is required there. And after that, teachers need to problem solve every day. They need to engage the community, colleagues, parents into this mission because it requires more resource. So that's leadership. And so these graduates also have this leadership experience and working in other industries and actually become leaders, and also having the 2 years teaching experience. So this is something that they own. It's not education is something important to them. So they continue devoting into solving this problem, not by teaching, but by donation, but by investing, like having an alliance with Teach for America, or sending iPads into the classroom, right? So I think this is the important part. How can we think about a system to engage the whole society in solving this education inequality issue? So I really got impressed with the model, and I decided to start this here in Japan. This was 2010. So when I talk about Teach for Japan and talk about, Teach for America is effective in solving education inequality and it's really becoming a social movement, I receive a lot of questions about poverty. No, not in Japan. Why Japan? But I think, receiving those questions is the biggest issue because poverty does exist in Japan and people don't realize it. If people don't realize it, people don't stand up. If people don't stand up and take an action, it just gets worse. If you look at the statistics, one out of 6 or 7 students are currently suffering under poverty. The poverty rate here in Japan is 17%. For kodomo no hinko is 17%. Children's poverty is 17%. United States is 21%. So when we think about United States as a country of poverty, why not Japan? But there is a difference actually, because in the United States, these communities or these kids are concentrated in one area. So it's visible. You can feel it, you can see it. But here in Japan, it's really dispersed. So every community actually has 10 to 20% of the poverty rate. So it's not really visible, but it's actually there. We do have hope. Last year, the Abe Prime Minister administration enacted a law called Kodomo no Hinkon Taisaku, just to solve children poverty. So it's starting, and we do see children poverty now on the media. So I think we're heading towards a good direction, trying to create the atmosphere to solve this issue. But most people still don't feel it, right? So there's an issue here. I want everyone to acknowledge there's a poverty here in Japan. What poverty brings is creates the academic achievement gap. This is looking about the family income and academic performance. So if you have higher family income, you have the academic performance higher. If you have lower income, the academic performance is lower. This is a fact. The next part is it changes access to higher education. So if you look at low income and low performing high schools, college access, and high performing or high income children's college access, there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference. And then what happens then is it changes the access to work. And also it changes how much you can get into the income. So if you're a college graduate, the difference between a college graduate and a high school graduate's income is about 180万円, which is about 16,000 US dollars. Yeah. And if you look at the lifelong gap, it's almost 1億5000万円, which is 1.3 million US dollars. It's a huge gap. And then what happens is the vicious cycle happens. So wherever you're born determines your academic performance, which determines the college access, which determines the opportunity for work and also the income level. And then when you're an adult, these parents have only able to provide limited education to these kids. So the sad part is I'm lucky to be here because I was born in Matsuda family. But I didn't choose to be born in Matsuda family. I happened to be there. But if I was born in a different family, I might have a totally different life. And that's not really acceptable. And Teach for Japan is trying to solve it. Our model is serving public education system by sending our teachers 2 years to commit as teachers. Why public education? Is because 99% of the kids go to public education school, and receive public education, and 93% of the middle school students go to public education schools, public schools. And so when we really want to serve all kids, I think public education is crucial. Another part, of course, parents are important. To involve the parents, educate the parents is important. But thinking about the impact, I think teachers also have a big impact. Because in terms of even time, like think about when you're a kid, how much time did you really spend with your parent? For me, it was like an hour or 2 hours a day. But teachers spend 69 hours a day with kids. Almost 1,200 to 1,900 hours a year. And I think that there's something that we could do in this realm, in this area. So that's why we're focusing on sending teachers into the classroom, not counselors or not after-school programs. It's about teachers. It is the fundamental aspect. We send our kids to really underprivileged communities. One of the classrooms have 50% of the poverty rate, and we do serve these. These kids, they're really active. They're passionate in several, not obviously in studying, but they're passionate in a lot of things. But they're really, they have the potential, and we need to believe in these kids' potential, and we need to commit in solving it. So we do serve these kids, and we send our teachers, train them, and do mentoring and coaching for 2 years, and problem solve together with our teachers. The good part is our teachers don't need to have the teacher certification. So this teacher is an English teacher, but he doesn't have a teacher certification. This is one hurdle that we overcame in the past 5 years to be able to send uncertified teachers in the classroom. And he really has an impact. His students' academic performance is 20 points more than the average of the district. So that's huge. The average is 55 in English, but his classroom is 73. So I think teachers do matter, and they do have the chance to change the classroom and the chosen learning ability. Because of the time, I would like to close my presentation by saying about we want to have more teachers in the classroom, obviously, and also we want to do more advocacy. How can we change the current teacher hiring, teacher training system? And also we want to have more committed alumni into solving the issue. If we have like 10 or 20 or 100 more use cases, I think the problem solving will be 100 times more faster. So we want to have more alumni committed into this issue. We have 38 countries out there, so we share good practices, we share the challenges, and we learn together and to maximize the impact. We're supported by a lot of corporates, fortunately, and so I think it's really important to engage the whole society solving this issue. We'll continue to want to do this. Challenges, recruitment is a challenge to how can we recruit the best and the brightest, commit for 2 years, especially in a culture when, Shiso Sayabuka, it's the first career you choose, it's going to be the 30, 40 years, like lifelong career. And people need to take risks to come into this program and be committed. There's also, decrease in salary because we're focusing on recruiting young professionals. It's a really challenge there. So today, I would love to talk about how can we really get the best and the brightest to commit into teaching for 2 years. It doesn't need to be teaching, actually. How can we have the best and the brightest commit to solve social issues and, really contribute to make Japan a better place to live, not only Japan, the world a better place to live. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, now it's your turn to figure out, to develop some creative ideas to recruit. And I think everybody agrees, more or less, this is such an important initiative. And yet, when it comes to actually doing it, they do have quite a bit of a problem with the recruiting, with advocacy, and all these things. So let's go to, I think we have about 8 tables. So you can go to any one of the tables and figure out the ways to recruit people. Probably you can decide any one of the 3. Recruit teachers, or recruit others, whoever, to support this in any creative way. So those are the 2 issues, two topics that you can choose either one of the 2. And if you have any other ideas to support or to just make this campaign or initiative a little more impactful over the long run, we welcome that. And for your information, I don't know how many of you were there, but last year in December at Davos Experience in Tokyo, we did charity auction. And so I brought some of the things which I had, and we did silent auction, and we made close to 100,000 yen. So, and we donated that to that amount, the money that we raised through your contribution to Teach for Japan. This year, I don't think we're going to do that, but we are counting on your ideas rather than mine. So it's a brain and idea time. So please make sure you donate your ideas to support this organization. So go to any one of these, and you have about half an hour to 40 minutes or so, and we'll go around and ask for the report back. Ready? Is it clear?